I'm installing a coolant modification on the back of the heads of the truck, and the reason is that, as you know, if you follow the channel, we had a overheating situation at the beginning of our several thousand-mile trip to see the solar eclipse last fall, spring actually, and the culprit is right there in front of you. That piece that broke out from the intake manifold got sucked up into the heater hose going to the heater core and plugged it, thereby blocking the coolant going to the water pump. This is the kit I'm installing by MMR Racing, and that is my actual kit there. So we're going to show you how to install that, and that's the inside of the head taken with my probing scope. It's a longer video. Enjoy. These are the 5.4 liter PI heads. You see here's 8 cylinders PI there, and these here are 1.25 inch knockouts, and those are going to let me put this adapter in. This is by MMR, and this is the one that is intended for the left head, which is this head here. And you can see that the hole doesn't line up. The hole is actually over there. So with a little investigation here, you can tell that there is some, let me move this over and roll it a little bit. Okay, so if you look through these cylinder bosses here, you can see that there is no metal back here. And by metal, what I'm talking about is you would think you've got this casting that goes down to here, but so you would think that it looks like there is a buildup of metal in this area here. So let's test that. We stick a probe straight up in there to see how deep this goes, and when you go that deep, you're hitting that hole. So you can tell that there is no metal behind here. And then on this side, it's a similar story where you would think you've got a similar buildup of metal here, but when you probe it, it ends up there again. Then we also see this here, which looks like it would have the metal on it, and you can see that if we were using this one, that it would go to the that would be the correct area to have a hole. But when you test that one, and I've got a tester for this too, so I've got a curved probe here, so we go in and we can go in that far, which basically there's no metal there. It only goes about this far in, and this is all open here. So it just ain't gonna do me no good right there. Okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mount. There's my gauge again. Okay, so yeah, see this in here doesn't even have the alternative metal over here. So anyway, this one here, there's no metal to mount to, and this one here, there's no metal that we can mount to there either. But what I can do is fabricate a piece that will go here, and I can drill a hole and it'll go in there, and then I can make it out of 1-inch material that will come over the top of this and hold it down. And that ought to do pretty good. Now these things here are a tight fit, so they probably wouldn't come out anyway, even if you didn't screw them in. And then also you put silicone at the base of these, and they'll basically silicone rubber glue to the head. I am going to do that. First thing I got to do is take this one. No, I take the other one. Where is it? Come out, wherever you are. There it is. Okay, so I've already got this taped up to put in a vise, and there's 2 plugs in it. This is the right head one, and so the existing holes, it's intended to have a boss right in this area here, which is where that would be. Yeah, it's intended to screw right into that, and then this would come up, and the other one would point over towards the other head, and then if this one had the correct boss in it, which maybe it doesn't have, okay, if it was to go into that, yeah, so this one here, it just doesn't even have the right stuff. Yeah, because actually I need this one to point that way, so a boss would have to be in this area here. Okay, so that's what we're going to do then, is we are going to put that one there, and we have a mark here that will bring the hose up at it'll come up 45. So these hoses are going to come up and meet in the middle of the back of the intake manifold into a T, and then connect up to the heater hose, and then be sucked back into the water pump. Okay, so let's go drill our hole, tab it out, and then we'll get these knockouts out and put these in. Okay, kids, here's how we're going to do this. You can see I've got my dot mark there. And we're going to drill this in 2 steps. And start out with a nice little 1/4-inch drill bit, and then we will step into a 13/64 drill bit. Don't see the size of it stamped on there, but trust me, it is. See in the red, 37/64. Okay. Get my trusty drill up here. Okay. Must be foggy out on the water. Okay. Okay, so we have got our first step drill hole made. Now let us go to our second step. Okay, let's see what we get. Okay. And something like that is expected to happen. Finish our hole. Got a little vise here. And there we go. We have a 1367th hole. Now let me go get the tap. Okay, so I don't have a tap set that will work with this, but I can get a 5/8 inch 12-point box end wrench on it. So we just carefully try to start our threads. And so you go forward, and then you back up to break out the trailing thread. So it's going just about right. Aluminum is very soft compared to the tap itself. Okay, let's see just how deep we are. Just starting to come through, so we should be good. Let's pull that on out and test our fitting. And just so you know, this is, where is it? A Dormer E710 3/8-18 NPT normal HSS. Well, I think that says Brazil. And the part number. So anyway, there you go. From Tacoma Screw Products, a quality, reputable store to get your stuff from. Alright, here's the fitting. Let's see. Okay, that is working. It's right where we want it to be. Right smack in the center there. It's away from the ear and out on the end. Okay. Alright, so here is my freshly cut and tapped opening, and now we're going to put the fittings in there and seal it up. But I am going to not use a paste or tape or any of that. I'm just going to use Max Black silicone, ultra black, maximum oil resistant silicone, and I'm just going to slather that on the inside and the outside. And then I will wipe out the excess. But the thing is that this ain't ever coming apart. And this stuff here has been sealing other stuff for years without fail. So I'm just going to continue that grand tradition of putting the silicone on these here fittings. Okay, so here's what we're going to do here. Here's the fitting for it, and I'm going to just go right like that. I'm going to take the screwdriver's flat blade and go around. And make sure that don't have any on the inside. Where did my towel go? I always need a good wiping towel. Alright, let's get this little bit here too. Okay, so let's screw that on in there. And that is going to make a permanent seal. Alright, let's run that baby on down. And grab a piece of paper towel here somewhere and wipe off the excess. Okay. And let's assemble that one. Of course it decided to do that. I wouldn't have it any other way. Okay, we're clean. And on into the hole. Put the 8mm Allen wrench back. Oops, wrong way. There we go. And let's clean off the excess ookie. Okay, and if you look down there, you can see that everything is looking mighty fine. Okay. And that's what this looks like here. It's got the two plugs on it. They've got the black RTV sealed, and in 24 hours they will be sealed forever. Same with the hose fitting there. And I think I'll maybe just clean that off a little bit better. I'll use the towel for that since almost all the RTV is gone. Alright, one to go. Let's rock and roll. Okay, so we're just gonna hooky up this last one here. This is the left side that is now going to be the right side because it works better with the way this thing was drilled. So this RTV is rated to 700 degrees Fahrenheit, and the water in the engine will never ever reach anywhere near that. Okay. Let's go. Okay. And there you can see inside that everything is nice and clean. All right. Here we go with the heads, and we are going to install the rear coolant adapters to get better cooling in the back of the head. So these heads here are different than what the bolt attach point is from whichever head they were meant to be for. I do not know what year that these heads are, but they are V8 PI performance improved heads, which is a good thing. And so I'm going to show you what I have here in just a second. Just got to get things prepared so that I can show you. Okay, so the way these things come is they have a black screw that is supposed to go into the little dog there, ear, whatever, and there is supposed to be a hole here, and we're actually going to use the right head example. So if you had the hole here, you would put this 1.25 inch or 30 millimeter cap screw in there, and then you would have the heads would be at a 45-degree angle, so this would be pointing up and this would be pointing over towards the water heater inlet hose. But we don't have that, and I've also taken a probe and checked inside of the water jacket of the head to try and make sure if there was any meet aluminum behind this little casting here, and there's not. So you cannot just drill into it because there's nothing there. Very handy of Ford to have done that. It looks like there is, but if you take a probe and you go in through the water jacket, you'll see that there's nothing there. So it's the same story over on this head here, and on this head here, this is actually supposed to be the hole that you would connect to. And so here's the left adapter, and it would go into that hole there. Problem is that the hole is not in position for the adapter, and the same is true over here. Nothing there. So I had to make some adaptations to the heads, and as it works out, the left head will work on this side, and the right head I had to drill and tap a new hole here, and then the existing two holes that came with it, I got some brass plugs and put them in, and I've got everything sealed up with some ultra black RTV silicone caulk, and that will last for the duration. It's never gonna leak, never gonna come apart. But I do have to figure out how I'm going to attach these two pieces, and I came up with a method to do it. First, let me see here. I've got okay, that's the right one is going to go on the left, and the left one's going to go on the right. And so the right one is going to be an easy one to drill and reposition. So what I did is I made these adapters, and these are 1/2 inch aluminum angle, 1/8 inch thick, and 3/4 inch aluminum angle, 1/8 inch thick. So what I did was, on this side here, I trimmed the side of this against the side of that so that they would be the same height. If I didn't do it, this would be about 1/8 of an inch or so lower. So I cut the two so they would fit together like this, and I put a couple of thick aluminum pop rivets in there to hold it. It's nice and strong, sturdy. And then I drilled the hole here, and then you see on the adapter itself, it has a hole here that originally the black cap screw would have gone into that and then screwed into the head here, but that's not going to work. So what I have done is I made up these adapters. So here is the adapter for the left one. Okay, so these adapters fit on like that. And then I've got a 1-inch stainless screw with a washer and lock washer. And I tapped out the hole here with a 8mm by 1.25 thread on it. So this, when I tighten down the nut or the screw, it will compress the lock washer until it is right flush to the bottom there. And then this adapter piece is right flush with the bottom. And you might be able to see that there. Okay, and so what'll happen is this will go on, and then I drill a hole for the adapter to screw into the existing hole there. And that should work as a new hold down for this. It screws together very, very solid, very tight. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, when I assemble this, I'm going to put some Loctite in there, just some regular old blue Loctite, and that will keep the screw, the stainless nut screw, from backing out. But also what I'm going to do is I got to measure this and drill the hole. So I'm just going to tighten this down a little bit so that it's below the level of the fitting, and you can see the screw comes up in there just a little bit short of flush, and that's just the way you want it. So then I can take this and mark where it goes. So it's going to be right about there. Okay, let's drill it where X marks the spot. All right, let's go for it. Alright, no deburring needed. Okay, there you go, perfect. So I'll just give it a quick test fit before I get all the stuff, anti-seize, Loctite. Actually, this ain't gonna tell me, but I believe it'll fit in there, so I think we're good to go. So let us do the first head here. I'm gonna knock out the knockout. Hammer. And let's see, where's my other implements of destruction? Okay. Now I see everything except for the piece that I want. Everything but the one that I want. It always works that way. The one that you want is the one that you can't have. Come on, where the heck did you go? There we go. Tried to get away from me. Alright, so this here was a washer that was on there with a kind of a bonding agent that was supposed to let the manufacturer know if I overheated, and that would void the warranty. Never mind that they gave me a water pump that went out on me. So let's now what we're going to do is we're going to hit direct in the center to kind of bow it and relieve the edges a little bit. Okay. Then we're going to tap the side, and all right, that is not what was supposed to happen. So, implements of destruction. Stupid thing. I swear. All right. There is the freeze plug is out, and that's all it is, just a 1.25" freeze plug. Popped out very easily. So let's clean out this hole here. Hit it with some brake clean. Very important. And we need to get that very, very smooth. Alrighty, we have some 320. We don't need the full sheet, so let me quarter this. It's always a good thing to have some leftover sandpaper from the old contracting days. So when you do this, you don't want in and out, you want roundy round, because if you have in and out, that will create straight lines that can leak through your O-rings and sealants and all that. So do it this way and not in and out. There's a little extra buildup there. I think I got it now. Alrighty. So now we are going to turn on the light here for one. And so here is the left, and it goes over here. And we've got all sorts of different flavors of stuff to put on these parts. So I guess all I've got here is the red thread locker, which that's fine. Okay, so red thread locker, it's stronger high temperature stuff. For this, it doesn't matter. I don't anticipate this ever coming apart, and if it needs to come apart in the future, all we gotta do is just put some heat on it. Okay. Alright, there we go. And let's tighten that baby on down. Doesn't need to be incredibly tight. And there we go. Wipe off was the excess. Okay, perfect. So we have that. Adapter is locked down nice and tight. Then we're going to put a cap screw on, and that we are going to use some anti-seize, but first we're going to apply some silicone grease inside the knockout or freeze plug hole. Then we're going to apply it to the O-rings. Okay, so we're just gonna put not a lot, just a little bit onto the O-rings. And remember, we want to keep the back dry so that we can put silicone RTV on that to seal everything up. Okay, so we will just carefully work that around. Oh, joy, the rains are here. Okay, so we've got plenty of silicone grease there. Now, I'm going to just make sure that there's no silicone accidentally on the surface of the head here that we plan to glue with RTV. Okay, there's that. And we've got our Permatex Ultra Copper gasket maker. And so we're going to put this around the rim of the okay. So this is supposed to be pretty good stuff. All right, let's shove this puppy on in. Right there. Okay, dead blow hammer. Then, before we shove it in completely, we will put our anti-seize on. Cap screw. Kind of overshot that. Darn it. Okay. And 9mm or 8mm. No, yeah. What was it? Was it 5? Yeah. Okay. So let's run that on in. Pop our Alright, how's that looking? Pretty dang good. Pretty dang good. Okay, so remember you are tightening into aluminum, so you don't want to go overly tight. Alright, let's clean up this excess silicone rubber and see what our whole connection looks like. Alright, you guys, there's what it looks like up close. You can see that everything is all sealed up nicely. No gap. No gaps. Very, very solid. So this stainless steel screw holds the bracket to the crossover modification, and the 35mm long 6mm size goes down into the head there and goes in a little over 1/2 inch, and yeah, very nice. Very, very nice. I am happy with that. Not going anywhere. The silicone will dry and that will seal it up forever. Okay, let's get started on the next one. What do you say about that? Let me pause you. Alright, kids, let's do the other head now, the right head. So let me see if I can find my tools here. I need the whammer and the 3/8" socket extension. There we go. And then need to, ouch, that was unnecessary, table. Yank out that little heat sensor there. And we're going to just pop this to round it again. Okay. There's a little bit of relief on it. Let's see if we can get this one to flip inside here. It's probably going to just go inside again. Oh, got it. All right, where is my... trying to put too many things in this one little area here. Okay, let's pull this baby out. Okay. See if I can get her out of here with a hammer claw again. Okay, there we go. I got some crustaceans in there. Several crustaceans. Okay, that's good. Cannot feel anything in there now. Let's get some brake clean and spray that. Clean it up. Well, this side doesn't have nearly as much gook on it as the other head did. So we shall hit it with some 300 grit, 320 grit sandpaper. Fresh piece here. We're going round and around in the hole, not in and out, because we don't want any fine little lines that could let coolant out. Alright, let's see what we got here. Yeah, it looks pretty good. Let's see if I can feel how smooth the hole is. Make sure there's no lumpy cruds in there. And maybe there's just a little bit more that I would sand through here. Alrighty. Let's get clean rag and do a little bit of brake cleaner again. Alright, that is squeaky clean. Now, we need to determine where we're going to drill the hole for this one. This will get it in close where I can mark it. Found my little scratcher. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to put it on bottom side up so that I can position this where the hole is. Okay. So now we are going to assemble this thing first, and then we'll do the oops, let me get this here sanded off a little bit better. There we go. It's not quite flat enough here. There we go. It's just a little bit of bulging from drilling or tapping, and I want to get that nice and flat. All right, now we're nice and flat. Okay, so I get some red stuff on the threads here. And on our stainless steel screw or bolt. Thank you. Put the bolt in there. Flip this over where we need it. And run the bolt on down. First, got to line it up, of course. So now let's just tighten that baby on in. And again, you don't need it incredibly tight because it's only got about 3/8 of an inch of threads. Okay. All right, we are back, and on this one here, the cap screw is pretty tight on there, so I had to actually file down that flat washer under the lock washer on the stainless bolt, and I need that because I need it to space the bolt up enough that it doesn't stick down through the bottom. The bottom needs to be flat because it was actually supposed to screw into the head and make the connection, but we had to make these in order to do that. So now we've got the knockout holes sanded and cleaned up, and we are silicone greasing them. And that's because silicone grease helps to preserve the O-rings, and it helps things to slide in. Okay, so I'm just gonna put some silicone grease on these O-rings here. Okay, now let me run the old finger across, and we don't want it to go above the inner O-ring. We want to stay below that because we're going to be putting silicone adhesive, RTV, up there. So once again, we are getting ultra copper gasket maker exhaust. Higher temperature. This will seal very, very nicely. Okay. Silicone right up in there. All along the bottom of it. And we're gonna put it out on the tab here. Cover that. Okay, there you go. It's all nice covered up. So let us put this in its place. Right there. And oops, stupid. Okay, take two. Put this here and position the screw right where it's going to be. Okay. Perfect. Doesn't quite fit as tight as I thought it would, but it has the double O-rings, and then it has the okay. Okay. And this is how the water connection will fit, but this is going to be a longer pipe over on this side, and then this will connect into a T going back to the water pump. So we'll have the front hose coming off the crossover tube, and it will be going through the water heater or the heater core, and then the heater core will come out here. And I decided to put this on the intake side of the water pump instead of the outflow side, because I had that boil over, which caused this engine to overheat to begin with. And part of the problem is the water heater may have become clogged, and it's possible that when the water heater clogged, water was not going back into the water pump, and so we got a boil over. So if I have this on the return side, I'll still get the front end feeding into the water heater and coming back through and meeting up with this in a T, but the heater hose off the front of the engine generally has a reducer in it, and so I'm not going to worry about putting the reducer in there, and it will flow through the water heater unobstructed and then hook up to this. And the water pump is going to want this first, and then the water coming through the water heater off the front of the engine will be second priority, because this is closer to the pump with less restriction, so it's going to get more through it. So anyway, I consider it a safety measure that if I have this, then I'll have two ways of getting water into the water pump. And if for some reason the heater core ever did plug up again, this would always feed into the water pump. So that will prevent any boil over from happening. So just, one little advantage to having this setup. So this here, they've got the half-inch lines, and then we've got a 3/4 line here. And the reason I'm using this connection, this is a PEX A, so it has a larger internal size than PEX B, which PEX B is what you generally get for at home. It does have a larger barb on it, so it's got 1-2 barbs, so it's a little harder to get your hose on, but it ought to seal more positively. And then also being larger internally, it'll flow better. But the other thing I like about this is that on a 1/2 by 1/2 3/4 out, the path in is 1/2 inch on both sides, including coming through the 5/8 or 3/4 in this case. But on this, I've got 1/2 and 1/2, and the 3/4 is drilled all the way through here. So instead of both halves coming into a 1/2 and then a 3/4, I have both halves coming into a 3/4. So it has a better flow characteristic right off the bat there. So, okay, we have got everything set up here the way we need it. So there you go, kids. You can see the underside of that is nice and clean. You can see that it is seated flat against the head, and it's got RTV silicone there sealing everything. These two here are unused. They were supposed to be the right head fittings. And this one over here, you can see this one here is all nice and clear too. So it works out pretty good. It's a nice clean setup. And so here is what they'll look like from the back of the engine. Not going to be able to see it. because it's on the back of the engine, but very cool. I'm looking forward to it. And that is how you connect or install the MMR Racing and similar coolant modification adapters for the back of your 5.4, 4.6, and 6.8 engines. Yeah, that's all nice and tight. And this here is all nice and tight. Yep. So I'm going to call that a success. This will be longer, and then they're also going to be that way, so it'll have to kind of loop around. Do what you got to do. Okay, so on to other things now. This is the inside of the head view of the MMR coolant modification kits, and you can see the little bit of silicone grease around the edge of it. And I was checking inside the head with my little probe scope to determine if the O-rings were fully seated into the aluminum of the head, or if one was sticking beyond the aluminum and not actually doing anything. So as it is, both of the O-rings on the adaptation kit are in the aluminum of the head and making a good full double seal. And then I also have the copper gasket material, silicone RTV, on the outside sealing that, which is a very high temperature anti-oil resistant sealant. So you can look down inside of there and you can see the hoses there, the drill holes for the hoses. And so what I ended up doing was using the right side adapter on the left head and the left head adapter on the right. So the left adapter worked okay as was, but I had to make my adapting piece to bolt it in place. And the right side had the two holes that are drilled for it. Both of those had to be plugged, and I had to drill and tap a new hole on that adapter for the left side. So one thing I do not like about the MMR kit is the right side has the two holes in it, and the left side is connected to the right side, so any coolant in the left head has to be drawn over to the right side and then out to the water pump. And the problem with that is that the coolant from the left side goes into the right side, and it's got a chamber that it mixes with the right side coolant, so it doesn't actually get pulled from the left into the water pump. There may be a little bit, but there's no direct pull from the left side, and that is why I have set it up the way I have, with independent left and right hoses, and then a T-fitting going directly into the hose back to the water pump. And that way I have a second redundant supply of water going from the heads back into the water pump, and then cycling back through the engine, the radiator, getting cooled and maintaining temperature. And what I think happened originally, as I said at the beginning of the video, a piece of the intake manifold broke off and plugged up the heater core hose off of the aluminum crossover on the front of the engine, causing the boil over. So this I think is going to work out pretty good for me, and I'll do some testing report videos on this later, but I'm very happy with the kits. I had to make mounting adapters for it, and you'll see how I did that in this video. And yeah, hopefully everything will work. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Please do leave any comments, ask any questions, leave a like, share it with anybody you think would benefit from the video, and subscribe. You're always welcome to subscribe, and I will see you on the next video.